Hey guys, if you thought maybe 12 years ago when Siri came out it would be this personal assistant that could actually run your life and automate tasks for you while you slept, welcome to the club. But here we are in the Big 26, and we finally reached something that's capable of doing that. But I think I need to talk about this thing because it kind of screams danger, not for reasons that they have already addressed, but for reasons that I think become pretty obvious the more you think about it. What I wanted to talk about today was this thing that I saw online called ClawdBot, which recently renamed to, I believe, Moltbot. The reason is pretty obvious. I mean, there's already a Claude AI that definitely was trying to talk to them behind the scenes because they share quite literally the same name, different spelling. This thing seems a little dangerous. Not only is it a tool that you're letting into your computer that is supposed to automate your life and make you a better person, it requires a subscription, not to their service, but to a existing provider like ChatGPT or Claude. And for the record, I'd like to say that I think we've gone a little overboard with AI. I think we've been patching it up to be this thing that's going to be able to, run your life and automate your tasks. But at some point, we're going to let it run our lives and automate our tasks, and then we end up like the dudes in Wall-E. Slight tangent, but I think people need to know how to work a computer. And yeah, this thing is a little techie, and you need to know how to work a computer to begin with. And some people are even buying their own hardware to run this thing locally. But I'd like to also talk about the fact that there are ways to do things similar to what Claude is doing that require you to get a little metaphorical programming elbow grease on you, that they, of course, will just give away, provided that you're paying for a pro subscription to an existing provider. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing, because I need to break it down for you and also a little bit for me, because I'm pretty sure I understand how this thing works, but it's another one of those tech things where they talk about, buzzword, and then you just get lost in it, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's how that works. So this article on Mashable is talking about, this came out yesterday, talking about how it is this viral AI assistant and giving you the breakdown on how to activate it. Now, from my understanding, ClawdBot is not an AI assistant in its own right. It is sort of this package that runs on top of an existing AI, such as a ChatGPT Pro subscription or the premium tier of a Claude subscription. And it's not using anything local to you or local to the ClawdBot servers themselves, if those even exist. It's using a series of prompts that it sends up to ChatGPT that it then packages and sends to you. And as from what I could tell, it can actually operate on a number of different platforms for chatting with it. There's no direct, ClawdBot app, Moltbot app now that they've renamed. There are a number of methods to contact it. I believe I've seen WhatsApp and Discord mainly. Everything I just said doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It just kind of sounds like marketing jargon, and I'm going to be honest, I think it is. Let's go ahead and scroll through here, because this Mashable article kind of just gives you the rundown on it. One, they talk about their rebrand up top. They've now rebranded to Moltbot and Multi, as they're renaming from Claude, because obviously there is an existing AI named Claude that has a pretty big market share in the big three, if you want to call them that. But let's take a look here. So the biggest thing is that a lot of people are, quote, commonly running this on a dedicated Mac Mini, and Mac Minis are the one of Apple's lower tier Macs, if you're not aware. It's one that comes without pretty much anything. It's about this big. It's a square form factor. You plug in your desktop monitor and your keyboard and everything to it, and it's very portable, and it's rather powerful in comparison to a lot of the other Macs, and it's very cheap, but of course you have to have your peripherals to be able to use it. A lot of Silicon Valley tech bros happen to be buying out a lot of these Mac Minis, which as a non-Apple enthusiast does not really scare me, but I do think in the current situation of RAM and hardware prices the way they are, things could get kind of dangerous in terms of them buying out and eventually scalping these to other tech people like themselves. I think if this isn't handled correctly by the people that are stocking the Mac Minis, as well as the people who are promoting this Moltbot and using this Moltbot, that this could cause something kind of like the GPU problem we had with Bitcoin a few years back. But of course, it's not to that scale, and the individual device, the Mac Mini itself, is already outdated. There's a newer model on, current that they are not purchasing. They're buying an older one. So really, it's not a huge problem yet, and it's something that is probably not foreseeably going to be one, but anytime that a lot of tech guys start buying out a lot of products, makes me a little nervous. But yeah, let's keep on going through here. This Mashable article is kind of funny because they just show off a bunch of tweets for a while, but then eventually they do actually start letting you in on this. ClawdBot is what they're calling an agentic AI, or an AI agent. It is not itself a chatbot. It is this sort of layer on top of an existing chatbot. As I said before, it's something that does not inherently have its own control, but it is a program layered to tell other bots what to do, basically. And what they're trying to make this product out to be is a bridge between you, your computer, and the OpenAI or Claude servers. This bridge allows for those AI LLMs to control your computer in a way. And in order to do that, it isn't as safe as one would hope, and I don't think it ever will be. But my problem with this is that ClawdBot or Moltbot requires you to give it full system permissions to be able to use its agentic AI powers over your computer. And that means that in theory, it could be this perfect worker. You leave your computer on all the time and you constantly have an AI that is texting you, you are texting it. That doesn't sound good for mental health. But from a productivity stance, it could potentially give you a highly customizable way for you to receive breakdowns, updates, email updates, kind of like things like Push Bullet enabled people to do, where they can consolidate all of their incoming info into one thing. But it's a very lengthy process in order to go from your computer, scan through all of your stuff, send it up to the cloud, receive its data back, send it to your device through whichever method you pick. But there are some people who are willing to go through those links, and I think that for those people, this is a willing tool. But the problem is, this thing is a system root device. It has full permission to access and edit your files because it needs to be able to do that to create and work for you when you are away or while you're at your computer. You can command it. Similar to how modern IDEs like Google's anti-gravity have the agentic workflow, where they're allowing you to let the AI kind of take command of some stuff while you're working on a single file in the program. It's working on background things or linking everything together. This Moltbot is essentially trying to make that across every device and not limited to one piece of software. But in doing that, that system root access is a little dangerous. And I don't think it's because the company themselves are malicious and going to be watching over your files. Not saying that they don't have that, or they do. I'm not sure entirely how the back end looks because obviously I don't work there. But the potential for access that they have just off the bat visible to you is a little scary. I feel like we don't talk enough about how accessible all of our stuff is privacy-wise to big companies, especially in the social media age when we kind of willingly give that up. The stuff that we're not willingly giving up being access to do whatever they need to sell data, to train AI, whatever, we kind of just let that happen, and that really sucks. And I don't think tools like this are a good way to step out of that game. I think, if anything, this is kind of you passing every bit of your computer over to them. But again, I don't want to claim that this company is malicious, because I don't think that they are. I think that the actual worry that I have personally, the reason that I wouldn't go through installing this thing other than having no need for it or not paying for a subscription to a ChatGPT or whatever, I think it comes down to exactly what they talked about in this Mashable article, that there are risks with giving something full system access. Giving something full system access like Riot anti-cheat for Valorant or Easy anti-cheat for all the other games out there, that's kind of different because those operate on a level where they're just looking at your files and they are checking, that you're not running cheats. And those are already bad enough. And I completely understand the people who do not play games with kernel level anti-cheat because of the risks that are posed by it. And I think I align with that idea. Even though I play those games, I align with that idea for things like this, because this is something that is widely talked about. And there are a lot of bad actors in the gaming world, but AI is like the thing right now. And it becomes very clear to me, as someone who does not know a whole lot about, data breaches and stuff like that, if I were someone capable of finding a way to backdoor a piece of software like this to access every user's full system data, that sounds like the Fort Knox of like cybercrime. They also like to talk about how there's a potential for bad actors to attempt to trick the AI into doing things, which I think is actually a really interesting thought that has not been explored a whole lot outside of the Terminator, where instead of this thing actually having full visibility into your files and somebody getting access to that full visibility, but somebody getting access just to the overhead to command the AI to do stuff like, oh, well, I want to delete all of my system root files and just make the computer unusable. Or I want you to, navigate to this website, click this link and download this, and then, it downloads a piece of malware. That sort of thing is a very new threat. Being able to have something access someone's system for you has never been seen before without a series of, if-thens and scripts and things like that. Having this, not sentient, but thinking platform that allows something to be told what to do and process it in its own way and, go through the trial and error of getting that thing to work, essentially running something like ClawdBot or Moltbot on your computer opens you up to a vulnerability you didn't have before. And this is the part where I actually do agree with the people who are buying their own system for this thing, because in theory, a Mac Mini that's running ClawdBot, that is doing all the heavy lifting of the programs and scripts that you are running through it, that are then telling the overhead bot what to do and what to send to you on your phone or your desktop or whatever, having it all localized into this separate box from your normal computer makes a lot of sense. Because if something were to get access to that computer and see it all, they likely wouldn't have access to all of your stuff. And that's where it comes down to just, general knowledge of how to be safe on the internet and with technology. But things like that don't entirely go through a lot of people's heads, I don't think, especially in the age of AI and the internet. When a lot of people see something like this is the next big thing, could be the next grift. I mean, it's scary to think the possibilities of this thing, because it has allowed for, emulated workflows that originally it could have been something that takes a lot of time working through processes like comfy UI in order to navigate a workflow to get an outcome of an AI image or video or text blurb or whatever. To automate multiple steps in AI was something that you kind of had to have a little bit of technical know-how. Even if the UIs and things that were built on top of it made it so that it was easier to access to the average consumer, it was still something that not everybody could just hop in and get. Now we've created something that you pay, $25 a month to your AI of choice, and then you download this thing on your computer, and now you can set up a workflow that you want. That sort of pay-to-play access makes it so that people who like to scam no longer have to, get their chops, and it kind of opens a world to more potential scams. Whether or not you're scared of your own data being lost or other people using this tool to, access your data, I think that this is kind of a dangerous thing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, and if you want to run a local agent AI that accesses an overhead bot, I'm not going to diss you for it, but I don't think it's something we need. Quite frankly, when I was researching for this video, I was trying to just think in my own head, what is my use case for this? What if I were to go through this thing and set it up and everything, what would I actually use it for? And I couldn't think of anything that I don't already have something doing. And the stuff that I would have doing isn't even AI. The stuff that I think of is like, oh, my weather app sent me the weather for today, because that's what the weather app does. I think a lot of the innovation we have, especially in this AI era, and especially the innovation towards agentic AI, seems to be automating processes that don't need automated. I think it's actually a little more dangerous to have a robot combing through your emails and giving you brief little updates than actually looking through your emails yourself. Even though it takes longer, there's a good chance that it's wrong, it missed something, now you missed something, and now you're screwed. Essentially, this just goes back to my thought that I don't like to not be at the wheel of things. While admittedly I do use AI from time to time for, technical level stuff or programming and things like that, I'm not allowing myself to have a full reliance, and especially not letting it operate my computer. It's already bad enough that everything on my computer is controlled by Windows, and that's probably a problem in its own. But letting a startup get access to that is probably being targeted for whatever reasons by whatever bad actor, I don't think that's a good idea either. To bounce back to the point about Valorant and everything, it's the same reason you don't want kernel level stuff. It's the same reason you want to vet all of the things that have high access, like Chrome extensions, for example. You don't want other things that you have not fully vetted and fully understand the risk of access to have access to your computer. And I'm going full on tech nerd right now because this thing is just weird to me, and I have seen a lot of chatter about it, and I don't think that it's something that is necessarily needed, but maybe I'm wrong. I know that there's no perfect security in today's age, and there's definitely no privacy anymore, let's be honest. But I just can't think of a reason that you would actually want this thing to have full system access that you don't already have done in some other way or could just do yourself. But maybe I'm wrong. If you guys know anything about ClawdBot or Moltbot, or you use it yourself, or if you even have experimented with things like OLAM or building your own local LLMs or building your own agents, let me know, because I can't tell what the point of this thing is. It's one of those things where I find myself Googling what is the use case for this thing, and the only answers are I use it to run my chatbot locally, or I use it to give me a message first, or I use it to run my AI girlfriend, and I don't really know why we need that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. But if you guys use this and like it, tell me why. If you guys have used this and don't like it, also tell me why. If you guys don't care about anything I'm saying at all, that's cool too, because I'm kind of just ranting. If you like this video, my last one is about Polymarket and Kalshi and how gambling is becoming more evil, and I think that technologically we are developing backwards somehow, even though we are progressing forwards in, power and everything. Be sure to like and subscribe. I don't know my upload schedule, but I will be back the next time I see something weird. It's been good having you. I've been Conrad on YouTube. Bye.